Hi and welcome to episode number 54 of the Introverted Biz Growth Podcast, the show where I talk to introverts who grow their business and make a difference. As usual, I'm Sarah Croce, your host, and so happy that you're spending another episode with me today. Today I'm talking to Melitta Campbell, a Swiss-based introverted entrepreneur originally from England. Melitta and I have known each other for a while and have actually worked together on numerous occasions on different projects, but always online. We've never actually met in person. So this really has to change this year. And Melitta, if you're listening to this intro, let's make it happen because I really want to make one-on-one interactions my focus this year. 10 years ago, Melitta left her successful corporate career to work freelance around her new family. She has 2 girls. Feeling the need for a fresh challenge, 3 years ago, Melitta started a home-based wellness business, and today she's on a mission to empower more women to enjoy more income, balance, and fulfillment through their own home business. Melitta also shares health, self-development, and home business tips and inspiration through her blog and public speaking engagements. Very quickly before the interview, as you know, I'm still auto-sponsoring my own show, and if you listen to any other podcasts, you might have noticed that more and more shows now run ads, and some of them are really super cringy in my opinion. Cringy is a word that my teenage boys use a lot, so I thought it fits well here. Now, as much as I love some of these hosts, I really admire them. Some of them are fellow introverts, but them putting on these salesy messages about mattresses and doorbells just really makes me cringe. Not that I don't understand their decision, I really do, because putting out quality content on a regular basis takes a lot of time and costs money. So they got to make that money back somehow. But I almost feel bad for them because those messages really just don't feel authentic. So for now, and as long as I can sustain it, I won't promote mattresses and doorbells and underwear on my podcast. But in return, I will toot my own horn every now and then and promote something that I think could be of interest to my listeners. And today I'm promoting my podcasting bundle again. So if you have ever considered hosting your own podcast, then this bundle will speed up your learning curve a lot. I share my own experience in a 20-minute long video and give you a list of the tools I use, 60 interview questions, all my templates for booking guests, and a guest checklist, and more. So you can grab it now at sarahsandcroce.com/podcasting bundle. And now, without further ado, here's my interview with Melitta Campbell. Hi, Melitta. How are you today?
I'm great, thanks. Hi, so how are you doing, Sarah?
I'm good. Finally, another conversation with not a fellow Swiss, but at least a fellow Swiss resident, right? You don't
Yes.
live too far from me. Where are you again? I can't remember.
I'm in Montreux.
Montreux, right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some people might know the Montreux Jazz Festival, so maybe they can kind of locate where you are.
Yeah, I'm surprised at how many people are familiar with that when I travel the world. So
It is quite famous, yeah.
Mm.
So, yeah. All right, great. Well, obviously you are not Swiss. People can probably hear that from your accent. So besides the official bio that I read, why don't you tell us a little bit about your story, what brought you to Switzerland maybe, and then most importantly, what led you to run your own business and how that went being an introvert and all that.
Okay, sure. So originally I'm from the UK, from South Wales, and I lived in London for 13 years before moving here. I moved here for my husband's job, but I was actually working in banking at the time as the head of internal communications and managed to get a transfer within the bank to Geneva. So it worked out really nicely. I loved my job in internal comms, and I was there for 5 years. My background's 15 years in marketing communications. But when I had my first child, I took the decision to leave my corporate career and stay at home with my family. I really wanted to spend more time with my daughter. I think that decision shocked quite a lot of people, including me, because I'd really worked so hard to get to the top of my company. I established a women's network there to support others. And I'd only just received a really important promotion, which meant I reported directly to the CEO. But when my daughter was born, I think, like any mum listening will know, everything changes. And I realized that she was more precious to me than my job. So I resigned, and I think it was absolutely the best decision I've ever made. My boss was really supportive, and he really encouraged me, saying that, being a parent is the biggest leadership lesson you'll ever have. And it really has been. So I really thank him for his encouragement.
Good boss. Wow. I don't think these kind of bosses come along too often.
No, he was great. He said the door is always open. And yeah, he knew how hard I'd worked on my personal development. I'm a bit of a personal development addict. That reassurance was really nice, very kind of him. I still wanted to work. So I started working as a freelance writer, and that was great. And for 8 years, I did that. But it got to a position where as a freelancer, you're really trading your time for money. And I didn't have that much time with a young family rather. And my husband traveled a lot. And being not local here in Switzerland, I didn't have a big support network with family around. So it got quite stressful. So I decided after 8 years, it was time for a change. And then I set up a home-based business in the wellness sector. So now I run that business. I help people improve their health and well-being through some natural products. And also I coach people and mentor them in how to do the same, how to start up their own successful home business.
Wonderful. Well, take us a bit deeper into that home-based wellness business, because, there could be so many different things you do. You could be a wellness fitness coach, I don't know, a nutritional coach. So tell us a little bit more about your business module and how you generate revenue.
You're right. Wellness is such a huge industry now. I think it's tipped to be the next $1 trillion industry, but there are so many different areas you can go into. It's really fascinating. I'm not really a coach or nutritionist, but I really help people to enjoy better health and vitality through a fantastic range of natural aloe vera based products. They contain natural, sustainably sourced and cruelty-free ingredients, which was really important to me. And although they're premium quality, they don't have that luxury price tag that you so often see on the high street, which is a combination I really love. I actually discovered the products while I was freelancing. The aloe vera drinking gel and the 9-day cleanse really helped me to turn my health around at a point when the stress was causing me to have some really bad habits, like pizza every night and no exercise. And that was really placing a toll on my body because I wasn't really looking after myself at all. But the aloe vera really helped me to get my vitality back and start making those baby steps towards a stronger body. So that's one side of what I do. And my second income stream comes from helping other people to do something just like me, starting their own home-based business in this industry and showing them how they can build a successful business around their existing commitments, such as a family, a job, studies, or other passions. Because I think more and more now, the world just isn't as stable or predictable as it used to be. And so lots of people are turning to looking for ways to earn a second income and get a bit more stability in their life. So in both roles, I get to build deep relationships with my customers and clients who really feel more like great friends these days. And I think that's something that lends itself well to my introverted nature too. So I think from the outside, what I do looks like sales, but it doesn't feel like I sell anything. Just try and help people as much as I can.
Right. Yeah. It's interesting though, because the minute you tell me about products and having to sell those, immediately my brain goes, oh, okay. So she represents basically this company and sells the products. But then you're saying, well, that's not what I do. I develop relationships. And then, as a byproduct, I kind of, advise them to test these products. Let me understand in terms of how these two go together. So is the product, is that completely different from the coaching clients, or do you only take coaching clients who want to run a business like yours, meaning selling these aloe vera products, and then you help them grow that business?
Yes, exactly. So my coaching and mentoring is predominantly for people who want to go into do exactly the same as what I'm doing with the same product, same business model. However, parts of that I'm looking to expand a little bit because I see a lot of entrepreneurs in this industry. We get so much help to get started, a really structured business model, a lot of help building the mindset you need to succeed. And I see a lot of other entrepreneurs, they don't get that support to get started. They're just kind of feeling their way in the dark, if you like. And to get a coach and mentor, it's really expensive. And there are ways to do it. So you can do it more cheaply by having someone by the day or as an accountability coach. But if you want someone on a long-term basis for a year, for example, then that's quite difficult. So I'm looking at how I can use parts of what I've learned and develop that as a product for other people who are just starting to get out there, I think.
Right.
the nice thing about what I've done is I've helped over the last 3 years, more than 100 people start their business. And that's taught me a lot about what it takes to succeed, because not all those people have made it, but they have the same situation. They have the same training, the same products, the same business model. So what makes one person succeed while someone doesn't? So it's been really enlightening, actually.
That would be a book.
Yeah.
I would obviously be interested in is how many of those 100 were introverts, and does that have anything to do with the success rate and all of that? It would be very interesting study.
Yeah, I think it's about 50-50, and the introverts actually tend to do better because the extroverts try to sell too much and take shortcuts, where the introverts take time to develop the depth of relationship you need to have a sustainable business.
Yeah, especially in that kind of product related business like you have. I think we all know that it has kind of gotten a bad reputation because of bad marketers and the pushy and aggressive sales techniques. And so, if you come at it at a different angle where you start with the relationship first, and then, if that leads into product sale, great. Then I think that's very refreshing to people. And so I think you're right. Introverts probably be doing better than extroverts, because I think if I understand the product correctly, it's also kind of a long-term thing. It's not just this one juice that you drink and then, off you go. You're a new person. Yeah,
no, exactly. And that's the nice thing about it. Because it's a consumable product that people come back for on a regular basis, right. Then you only need to develop a customer base of, I say, 20 or 30 people. So you can really develop those close connections with people. That's something that I really like about it. The company don't impose sales targets on people either. So they really didn't want to have an aggressive sales force. They really wanted to lead through people. It's all about helping people first, and be willing to not sell things to people if it's not the right thing for them.
How did you find this company again? You said you came across the products first. So you didn't get in touch with a person like you. You saw the products first and
exactly.
About the company?
You can only really get the products through somebody who's connected to the business. So they're not sold in shops, for example.
Right.
But it was a friend of mine that sold the products, and I saw a huge change in her. She used to be a lawyer, but she just never had any time with her children. So one day after a particular episode in the office, she just walked out and quit, and then decided I've got to reinvent her life, and found this particular company and started her business. So she's got no background in sales or wellness or anything, but she saw the potential and the way that the business is really led through people and like that. So she was telling me about it, and I could see firsthand the results that the products had on her in reducing her stress and improving her positivity and mindset, and just her skin was glowing. I was like, I need that. So I first got to use the products through her, but then when people saw the results on me, they wanted the products here locally in Switzerland, because she was based in the UK. So that's the point where I joined the company just as a favor to other people.
Right.
But then as people came back and I was building a business, I could really see that I really liked the business model, and I trusted the company and the product. So I decided, when my freelance career got to a crux where it was just so stressful. Actually, I read a quote by Richard Branson, and it said, if it's no longer fun, stop doing it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, thanks, Richard. You've just decided my future.
Yeah. It's true. Sometimes we get rid of a corporate job because we want more fun and freedom and all of that. And then all of a sudden, 5 years down the road, yes, we're entrepreneurs, but we're so stressed because the clients aren't coming. We can't pay our bills. And it's important to remind yourself of that initial, reason why you actually quit your job. Yeah.
Exactly.
So we already talked about one strength that you have as an introverted entrepreneur, which is definitely the fact that you get to focus on relationship building, I think. Do you have others that you think those are definitely introvert related strengths that you think that, make you successful at your business?
Yeah, I think the sales is a secret superpower, because I would never describe myself as a salesperson. And if you offered me a job in sales, I'd run a mile. But I do get people telling me that that's something I'm good at. But I think it's really more to do with building the relationships with people and understanding their needs and using my creativity to find the best solution, and being willing not to sell to them and point them in another direction if that's better for them.
Yeah.
A friend of mine just told me a superpower recently, and that's having the courage to push outside my comfort zone, which is something I really hate doing, but I'll do it anyway. And what I've learned is just to make the fear of not pushing out your comfort zone bigger than the fear of pushing out of it. For example, I need to speak to people, and to speak to people, you need to kind of leave your house and get out there and meet people, which is something that's terrifying. But then if I don't meet people, then I don't get the chance to build my business, and I don't get the chance to help them either. And I know there's lots of people out there that the products could be helping, or people who need to bridge that income gap a little bit, and I could be helping them through my business. So I thought, well, I really owe it to other people to get out there and get to know people and see who else out there I could perhaps be helping. Yeah, so maybe that's a superpower too.
So the superpower would be to actually give yourself the push to get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, to feel the fear and do it anyway.
Okay, do it anyway. Yeah, interesting. I was just thinking when you talked about the selling, in terms of your colleagues, so people who do the same business as you for the aloe vera company, I'm sure you have team calls or things like that. So do people actually, ask you, the introvert, for sales advice and, tips and tricks?
Yeah. I think a lot of people these days are quite surprised when they discover that I am an introvert, because from the outside, they can't see that. And I think that's also been a big lesson as well, that you're maybe there and your stomach's churning and you feel all clammy and your knees are knocking, and no one else sees that. And if you know your stuff, which most introverts do because we take time to prepare, then you can talk quite intelligently about your product or situation or different things. So that comes across as confidence, whereas it might not be what we're feeling inside.
Right. To me, it's interesting that the whole selling part, the extroverts actually start to notice that, an introvert, even though they don't call you introvert because maybe they don't even know the distinction, but they start to notice that the long-term relationships are actually worth investing in. And that's not something they're very good at. So they think, okay, fast results. And how do I get them? Well, I have to, talk about the product and get the sale. And so it's fascinating to me to hear that they are definitely curious about how you do that.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Through my sort of experiment almost with these 100 people, it's the introverts that go out there and do the training and take the time to invest in relationships more than the extroverts. And not all of the extroverts see that. Some of them do, and then they kind of take a look and start to follow what everyone else is doing. But in my organization, the people that are at the top, the ones that are earning the big bucks, they're all introverts actually.
Yeah, very interesting. And on my LinkedIn side of the business, that's exactly what I teach as well, because obviously there's a lot of my competitors or colleagues, whatever you want to call them, they're still teaching the aggressive selling. I tell them, well, that's fine. You can do that, do your own thing, but that's not what I'm teaching. And so it's interesting how there's like this counter movement where people are like, oh yeah, I want to do what you do and invest in relationships. And that might take a bit more time, definitely, but it feels less yucky, especially to fellow introverts. And it feels genuine and it leads to longer relationships. And for you, clearly what you want is somebody who's not going to just invest once, but, hopefully for a lifetime.
Yeah, exactly. I had a great quote recently. It said, if you want to build a successful business, you have to sell from the heart. You cannot sell from the wallet. And I think that's something that from what you're teaching really is building those relationships and taking care of people and not just going out chasing the sales, because, you don't get repeat sales. And that's really what everybody's after.
Yeah. Okay. We talked about strengths. What about challenges? The selling, I think you graded that. You said the speaking, so maybe that's something you're working on. Anything else?
Yeah, I think, I said my superpower is feel the fear and do it anyway, but it's also a weakness because I do still give in to my little voice in my head a little bit too often. Having a young family and a traveling husband, it's really easy to find excuses not to get out there and network, for example. But it's something that I need to do. And I do enjoy it once I get there. Right. It's just sort of getting over all the excuses and actually getting myself there in the first place. So I need to work harder on that.
Right. Yeah, it's funny because I don't network anymore. Probably not at all, unless I get to speak, and then I'll do it because that's different. Because I go out there and I speak about my topic of choice, and then people come to me afterwards, right?
Yeah,
so that's okay with me. The other thing I saw you commented earlier there's this movement now, LinkedIn Local. And so it was interesting because all my colleagues in, England and US and everywhere, they're like, we're putting up this LinkedIn Local event where you basically create the networking event. And so I was thinking, I spent like a month thinking about it. Should I do it? Should I not? I would like to own it. I just don't want to run it. And eventually I'm like, okay, I'm going to put it out there. And in a way, it doesn't feel as scary as having to go to an event where I don't know anybody. I think introverts are great leaders. I like to actually be the one who runs the thing and, have people come, because then I'm actually less in the spotlight than having to go there and go from one person to the next and present myself. Yeah. So I don't know. It's this weird thing that I just thought about it again. I'm like, yeah, it's not so bad if I run my own event, because then it's my rules. And I'm already going to, put in the description, there's no suit and ties, no, business cards exchanges. And yeah, it's different. So
it's an ebook called A Shy Girl's Guide to Networking. And it kind of shares all of the lessons that I've learned and all the best practice that I've been trying out and what's worked for me as an introvert as well. And that's one of the hacks I've put in, actually, because when you run the event, people know who you are.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go and introduce yourself to everybody, and you can get straight into the detailed conversation and having that meaningful chat with people, which is what we love. So it really bypasses all the small talk. Yeah. So it's perfect.
That's great. I'll make sure I'll link to your ebook, because I'm sure other people will find that useful. And it's interesting because I do the same thing on LinkedIn. I tell my clients, well, you don't have to send out these pitches where you're going to explain to everyone who you are and what kind of work you can do for them. It's all in your LinkedIn profile. If you did the work up front and you optimized your LinkedIn profile, there's no point in writing these long messages that explain who you are and what you do. You don't want to do that. You want to just have a conversation.
Yeah,
people are like, really? I don't have to do that anymore? I'm like, yeah, that's the point of the LinkedIn profile. And it's the same with the event. Exactly.
Yeah. In fact, I learned that quite early on. When I was a student, I was in halls and then my mum left and I was all alone. And all of the rooms in this halls of residence were either for 2 people or 3 people. The person that was supposed to be sharing my room never turned up. So I sat there thinking, okay, I can either sit here on my own all night or I can do something about it. And I just got up and I knocked on everybody's door and told them that there was going to be a party in the common room at 7:00. But then
that was brave.
I know, but it was really the best thing I've ever done, because then everyone came to the common room. And of course, the only person everybody knew was me.
Yeah.
So they were like, oh, who's that person? Who's that person? And then that really stuck. And then all the way through university, I became known as the person to go to if you want to find out who anyone else was, and being an introvert. And this is why I find that I have an edge when it comes to networking, is because you listen to people, you kind of internalize, oh, that person, they're into this and this is what they're looking for. And then you can connect people quite nicely and people remember that. So that has really helped me. So it's similar to what you were saying with running an event or starting one or getting your LinkedIn profile right. It helps people come to you, which makes the whole process a lot easier.
Right. I remember another tip you had in your ebook is going with an extrovert. So actually have this networking buddy that you go to the events with, right?
Yeah. That's what I tried to do initially to learn how to network, because I had one lady at work and she was incredible. She could just talk to anyone, anywhere. I was like, how do you do that? But she agreed that I could go and network with her. So she introduced me to people and really helped me to get in the room and stay there for more than 5 minutes. There's only so far she could help me, because she was so extroverted that her way of networking would never be my way of networking.
Right.
So it gave me a brilliant start point, but I realized I had to find my own way because I could never do what she does. Even now, as I watch her, I was like, wow, how do you do that?
It's totally true. You need to find your own style, but it's just helpful to go with someone, and then at least, she dragged you out. That's already the first step, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most important part. Once you're committed, once you've got a bit of skin in the game, then that's it, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I did it for a colleague recently, actually, and she was terrified of networking, and she'd never done it. She came with me to an event, but genuinely, I could only stay for half an hour. And I made her promise. It's like, right, I have to go now, but you have to stay here for at least 10 minutes before you leave. And she goes, right, okay, I can do that. She stayed there for, I think, another 3 or 4 hours. And she's been back to every single one of those networking events ever since. Wow. She loved it. Yeah. So having that buddy, having someone just to make it safe to get in the door and get started can really, really help.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's talk about the question that I like to call the 3 golden nuggets. So these are 3 resources you share. First one would be a personal habit, something that you do on a regular basis that contributes to your success.
I've mentioned it already, pushing outside my comfort zone on a regular basis. And to help me do that, I joined Toastmasters. It's a public speaking club for anyone who's not aware, and it really helps you to build your communication and leadership skills in a really fun and supportive environment. So it's very safe. And I committed to getting up every single meeting and doing an impromptu speech, which absolutely terrifies me every single time. I had a massive breakthrough after doing it for a year. One of my colleagues said, "Wow, you didn't go red." So it's baby steps. It's taken a while, but now I don't go red, and now I can actually breathe as well. So bit by bit, I can really see that I am developing a lot more self-confidence and realizing that I can do this, and it does help you going forward. So that's my success habit.
Yeah, I can see why you call this a strength, because it's definitely, you need to kind of have this voice in your head that keeps telling you got to go back. Is this like every week, or how often are these?
It's every 2 weeks. Yeah.
Every 2 weeks, yeah. I remember I signed up for the one here, at least to get the information, but never made it there. So.
You should go. I'll come with you.
Is it always the same people, or does the group change as well?
You have a group of members, but then people come as often as they can. So not everyone can make it every time, but it's generally the same people, which is quite nice because you all go on a journey together then.
Yeah, so it kind of becomes a safer zone, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, congrats for doing that. A year in, that's pretty good.
Thanks.
We'll sign you up for a TED Talk next.
Yeah. Well, I gave a talk at competition recently. That's where the ebook came from, actually, because I shared my story of A Shy Girl's Guide to Networking was the name of the talk. But at the end, so many people came to me and said, "Wow, I could really relate to what you said there. I really related to your journey." And it's like, this is a Toastmasters competition. So these are the group of people who speak on a regular basis, who are extroverts, really. I thought that was quite interesting, that it's not only introverts that can be shy. I've met introverts who have a lot of confidence, and I've met introverts who are shy and extroverts who are shy. So I think it's
definitely,
it's quite interesting. And that was something that I hadn't really realized before. But seeing how many people found that talk helpful, that's why I turned it into an ebook and elaborated it on it.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I think there's clearly, and maybe introverts know that more than extroverts, but there's clearly a difference between being shy and being introverted. I'm not shy at all. I'm introverted. And to me, the introversion really has to do with the energy. So after a half hour or an hour of networking, I'm just so exhausted and I don't want to see anybody anymore. That doesn't mean that I can't just talk to a stranger on the street. And then obviously you have the introverted shy person, which sounds like might be your case.
Yeah.
That's even more challenging.
Yeah, it
but
certainly was.
I got this hate mail the other day from a lady who told me, "You're definitely not introverted, and how dare you say that?" And I was, well, first of all, shocked and hurt, but at the same time, it gave me confirmation that people really don't understand what introversion means. To her, she signed up to my email list, and yes, I do send quite a bit of emails. And so to her, that was like, well, you're not introverted if you're sending all these emails. And so that, confirmed to me that people are still thinking that introverted means shy.
Yeah.
Which is definitely not the case. Anyways, next one would be an internet resource, some kind of online tool that you use every day in your business.
Well, one that I find quite useful is Viral Content Bee. And it's it's really nice. It's a little website, and you go on and you can share your tweets, and then people will share it for you, and you get points. So if you share someone else's tweet, you get points for that, and then you can use those points to give other people to share your content. But what I like about this one is that it covers Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, and StumbleUpon. So others tend to focus on one or the other.
Right.
So that's quite a nice tool, and it does help you kind of get the word out there, and it's easy. And it's also a nice resource to go to get content that you can curate as well.
Nice. I'll make sure I'll link to that in the show notes. What about the book that you would recommend to our listeners, and why?
Yeah, this is another difficult one.
So many.
I'm a bit of a self-development addict. I was struggling with the family and everything to have time to sit down and read. But
Mm-hmm.
with Audible, I can just listen to it while I'm doing anything else. So yeah, it's brilliant. And I get to listen to books over and over again because you don't always take it in so deeply. But one book I'm reading at the minute, which I'm really loving, is Lily Singh, How to Be Boss. She's definitely not an introvert, but she has suffered a breakdown and depression, which holds her back and means that she has a lot of the same challenges that many introverts have. She's a psychologist originally, but now she's one of YouTube's best paid entertainers. Her mission is to just share positivity. And her book gives so many amazing tips for developing a strong, sustainable business and growing yourself as well. And it's all delivered with her unique brand of humor, which is brilliant. And she's just so encouraging and really, really empowering through everything in the book so far. I'm just really, really enjoying it. And it's something that I'm definitely going to be passing on to my daughters.
Nice. All right. Mm-hmm. I'll make sure I'll link to that one as well.
Actually, can I be greedy and share a second book?
Yes, please do.
We were talking about sales and it just made me think one of the best books on sales I've read is by Phil M. Jones. It's called Magic Words. I actually did some coaching with him a while ago, but he has these magic words and simple phrases that you can build into your natural conversations. And they really help people to feel like you're helping them with more service, but it also results in you doubling and tripling your sales sometimes. So I really like them because they're so simple and easy to use and they feel very, very natural too.
Can you say the author again?
Phil M. Jones.
Phil M. Jones. All right.
Yeah.
Definitely we'll add that as well. A little bit of magic is always good. So
yeah.
Magic words for selling. That sounds very intriguing. Wonderful. Well, we come to the end of our conversation that I've very much enjoyed. Thanks so much for sharing your story, Melitta. And I always like to end with the question, what are you grateful for today or this week?
Gosh, so many things. We were just having a conversation earlier about how grateful we are to be able to work at home and be around for the kids, which is really something quite wonderful. I think recently I am grateful that I've had the courage to network in the past, because at the moment I'm working on developing a 5-day home business challenge to help people thinking of starting their own business, the clarity and confidence they need to start strongly. So it's sharing the lessons from those 100 people I was talking about earlier and what's helped them to succeed or otherwise. So people can understand that before they start. I thought that could really help people. So I mentioned that just a few people in my network that I was thinking of doing this, and wow, they've been so amazing and encouraging. They've really helped me and given me lots of tips as well. So I think that effort I put in beforehand and having that courage has really helped me pay off. And the network I've built up now, it helps me every day with something or other. But really the people in there, the women that in the last week or so that have come forward to help have been amazing. So I'm really, really grateful for their support. I've been quite overwhelmed.
That's nice to know that, the effort that you've built into building this network and kind of also the role model, I guess, that you've been for them kind of now starts to, pay back in a way.
Yeah, I think whatever you put out definitely comes back tenfold.
Yeah.
And there's always this saying that knowledge is power. Yeah. I really believe that knowledge is power when it's shared and when you share tips and ideas with people and make that little bit of effort. Yeah, it really comes back to you. And I'm also grateful for this opportunity, Sarah. So thank you. It's another chance to push out my comfort zone and try something new, which is great.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for accepting this conversation and talking to me. And yeah, I hope we get to see each other at the LinkedIn local, because I don't think we've ever met in person, have we?
No, we've known each other for a long time.
Yes.
But never actually met, you're right.
2 introverts in almost the same city have never met each other and finally meet after 5 years. Well, thanks so much for taking the time, okay?
You're welcome. Thank you, Sarah.
That's it for this episode of the Introvert Brisk Growth Podcast. You can find Melitta at melittacampbell.com or facebook.com/Melitta Campbell Coach. You'll find this episode's show notes at sarahsanacroce.com/episode 54. And if you're listening to this show on a mobile device, you can click on the description and you'll actually find all the clickable links that we mentioned on the show right there. Talking about clickable links, check out sarahsanacroce.com/podcasting bundle if you're considering to host your own podcast. This is Sarah Sanacroce signing off from the Introvert Brisk Growth Podcast. Remember, you need to use your unique introverted superpowers in order to make a difference.